The Mandalorian, Episode 4, Chapter 20, The Foundling. We start back on the tribe's desert planet with everyone in the clan doing their routine training sesh. And just like Bo-Katan, who's walking about and really just observing everyone, I'm doing the same thing, not only thinking, is it just me or are there a bit more Mandos now than there were before? And if so, where do they keep coming from? Okay, so what's the point of shooting random blaster bolts right into the water? They do realize this planet is filled with giant monsters, and are they trying to tempt fate again, just begging to be attacked by yet another turtle dino and get killed again? Not to mention all of this training and yet watch them all die to remnant stormtroopers yet again too. This clan of Mandos, it gives me a headache. This time, Din has Grogu also take part in the training, which he ends up defeating Paz Vizsla's son, Ragnar. And like with Din and Grogu, I'm 99% certain Paz adopted this kid from some random planet. Unhappy about the loss, Ragnar walks up to the lake all by himself and hey, well, look at that. Just as I was talking about the Mandos tempting fate with dangerous wild giant monsters, a giant flying monster known as a raptor appears out of nowhere and grabs Ragnar and makes a getaway. Which honestly wouldn't surprise me if that's the same thing Paz did to adopt Ragnar himself. But yeah, again, considering all of the ruckus the Mandos were making here, I don't even know how they could be surprised that they attracted yet another monster. Plus, who knows, maybe Ragnar just looks that tasty to all of these monsters. First a turtle dino, and now flying Cubone. Anyway, without thinking, which seems to be the norm here, the Mandos try to chase the beast with only their jetpacks, which makes no sense as they have no idea how far its nest is. And with limited jet fuel, we start seeing one by one of them descend down to the ground, stranded in the middle of nowhere. Only for Paz to afterwards tell Din, hey, so yeah, this is a regular occurrence here and it always gets away each and every time. That had me just face-palming, as you're telling me this flying space raptor comes out of nowhere to randomly grab a kid and it's doing so each week? With the Mandos doing the exact same pointless jetpack chase that ends up with them losing fuel not even halfway through, and they still haven't made a plan against this? Or come on. Maybe leave for a less dangerous planet where not everything, is out to kill you? Oh boy, I can't. This is the definition of crazy, knowing exactly what will happen, failing to prevent it, but yet still doing the same thing over and over again, then somehow expecting a different result. Yeah, no wonder this raptor keeps coming back to eat these dumb losers. Fortunately, we see Bo making chase with the raptor in her gauntlet. As well, clearly she's the only one who's using her noggin here. Why these buffoons never decide to use their own starfighters to chase the raptor, we'll never know. Either they're really that dumb, or the writing here is just pathetically that bad. Bo afterwards returns and reveals the location of the raptor's nest, with the group then deciding on a game plan to rescue Ragnar. When they do depart on their mission, Grogu stays behind and ends up spending some one-on-one time with the armorer, who in turn decides to craft him his first piece of Beskar armor. Nice. It's nothing fancy, it's just basically a plate, but hey, it's Beskar, so better than nothing, I suppose. And it's during this interaction that Grogu is hit with a Order 66 flashback, and it's here where we find out who was the one to save Grogu from the Jedi Temple. Which, while I'm sure we all had our crazy theories about this, I don't think anyone would have pegged for it to actually be Kelleran Beck as Grogu's savior. And wow, let me just say how happy I am for Ahmed Best to get such a cool role in this show. Yeah, of course, it's gotta be said that after all those years of dealing with the Jar Jar hate, he got rewarded as Kelleran in the Jedi Temple Challenges Kids game show. And sure, that was cool too, but let's be honest, not that many people did watch that. Hence why it got cancelled after only one season. I mean, heck, I review Star Wars media and not even I watched it. So for Ahmed to get cast in The Mandalorian and in such a sweet scene and role too, I couldn't think of anyone else who deserves it more. And yeah, this whole sequence of Kelleran working his butt off to keep Grogu safe from the clones is amazing. Granted, I do have one small nitpick as the female Jedi who dies in the elevator and whose lightsaber Kelleran grabs to go dual wielding on all these clones, well, not sure if you noticed as well, but her body ends up disappearing completely, which kinda made this scene feel somewhat video gamey in my eyes. But like I said, it's a small nitpick. Personally, my favorite part in this entire sequence had to be the Naboo royal guards asking about the rest of the Jedi, with Kelleran telling them, nope, there is no one else, it's just us. And then to see a firefight erupt between them and the clone troopers. Never thought I'd see such a thing happen, and while brief, I was absolutely loving it. And at the same time, it makes me wonder who from Naboo, I suppose the Queen, decided to make the call to commit treason against the Republic here, as this doesn't seem to be a last-minute thing with the guards fully aware and knowing what is going on. After all, they had a ship prepped and were ready to kill clones. I don't know why, but this part fascinates me, especially since Padme, the Naboo senator, wasn't even in on any of this. Which then leaves one suspect left. Naboo representative Jar Jar Binks. Ha, imagine that, Kelleran meeting up with Jar Jar. Wouldn't that be something? Either way, I'm now fully expecting to see even more flashbacks this season on the remainder of Kelleran and Grogu's adventures together, which I'm all for. Now, the remainder of this episode is seeing Bo's rescue plan come into action, and considering as there are not as much scenes here continuing to depict the tribe Mandos as dumb and useless, then I gotta say I did enjoy it, with the final fight at the nest having plenty of eye candy. I mean, sure, I was expecting a bunch more kid Mando helmets and skeletons inside the nest, plus I also found it hard to believe that after a day and a half or 2 days, Ragnar is still alive after being swallowed by the raptor the entire time? Or that the raptor waited forever to feed its hungry babies? Yeah, but I'm willing to look past this and imagine that, this alien species simply just works differently. I guess that's a good enough excuse for bad writing, right? But with Ragnar saved and brought back home safely, Bo and friends as well capture the raptor's babies, which, hey, it is the way of the Children of the Watch to always adopt every single kid they find, right? And having said that, I very much doubt that these baby raptors will become Mandalorian foundlings, so either they'll be used for as livestock or probably flying mounts for the tribe. Especially for those Mandos like the Armorer who have no jetpack themselves. Then later, Bo ends up getting a new custom Beskar shoulder pad, due to the fact that she did end up losing hers previously in the raptor fight. And I'll be the first to admit that I'm glad I was wrong here, as when that did happen, I remember telling myself, okay, so this is predictable, now just watch Bo end up killing the raptor and then having a new shoulder pad made with the raptor as her signet. The same thing Din did with his in Season 1. But I'm happy to say this doesn't happen, as not only does the raptor get killed by another of those turtle dinos, Jurassic World style, but Bo instead decides to bear the symbol of the mythosaur, even confining to the armorer that she did see a live mythosaur with her own eyes in the living waters on Mandalore. With the armorer only going, "Yeah, Bo, sure you saw a mythosaur, anything you say." Overall, I like this episode. Actually, it's the first episode of Season 3 that I genuinely did enjoy for the majority of its runtime. Sure, it wasn't perfect by any means, and it had some very big glaring issues too. Plus, I'm still not liking how we're already halfway through and the season is feeling directionless, as not much has really happened and we gotta ask ourselves, where are we going from here? That said, aside from the terrible early minutes of this episode, everything else afterwards, like the Order 66 flashback, Ahmed Best's cameo, Naboo versus the Republic, and the whole Mando rescue mission was a lot of fun, and well worth the wait. Hopefully they'll keep improving by giving us more of the good from this episode and, far less of the bad, cringy parts. And that was my take on this episode of The Mandalorian. Let me know what you all thought about the episode in the comments below, and if you haven't already, remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on the next one.